What if that's what Atreyu said when he met the Empress?
Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear.
Oh. Welcome, cult members. This is Movie Pain or Pleasure, where we teach you how to live your life wholesomely, hating and loving terrible movies. Give us money.
Okay.
That's how cults work. You're supposed to give us money now.
Yeah, this is what happens when I let AJ do the opener of the show.
This is Melanie.
Hi.
I wasn't done.
Oh, you have so many pauses, I couldn't tell if you were done or not.
I was trying to be like William Shatner.
Don't be like William Shatner, it's very annoying. If my mom were here, she would remind me that he is Lithuanian.
He's Lithuanian.
Like her, so...
What are we talking about?
This is so weird with you doing the show. I haven't gotten to talk about what I'm drinking yet. I am polishing off a bottle. This movie's so bad I'm polishing off a bottle of wine called Rare Bourbon Barrel that I got for $9.99 at the H-E-B in the Texas Hill Country. Fort Worth does not have an H-E-B, so I do not buy my wine here because it sucks. The Target is too expensive. So we are talking about a movie that had promise, but it came up short. The Neverending Story... I'm just trying not to spill my wine. The Neverending Story 2, The Last Chapter... I wish. The Neverending Story 2, The Next Chapter. Wish it were the last chapter. This movie was an hour and a half, and I felt every minute of that hour and a half.
But it begins with an acid trip.
It does. So,
well, it actually doesn't, but eventually...
This was the sequel to the 1984... West German, I like how they always put that in the explanation, the West German movie that was a big breakout hit. I watched it as a child in the 80s, and I made AJ watch it last weekend, and he liked it. And
I heard of it forever, and I was just like, I don't know. I thought it looked too 80s, and then I was very misled, because I guess at some point during my childhood I was seeing the commercials for the second movie. And I thought that was the first movie, and I thought the kid was like, he was going into the story, and da-da-da, and it ended up being like a really interesting concept of like a meta, like the story is you, but you're not the story, and it's taught, I don't know, it's very, and the existentialness of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All very interesting.
Interesting.
The sequel was not.
No, it's not. So we went into that thinking, okay, maybe it'll be good, but it turned into a hate watch because it was terrible. So it came out in 1990, and part of it was based on Michael Ende's German children's fantasy novel, The Neverending Story, which we get the first movie from, and there were some plot elements, but apparently the screenwriters changed the storyline.
A lot. The book sounds really cool, actually, now, knowing the differences.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'll listen to it because it sounds like it's very 80s, so I don't know how 80s novels are. Maybe. I'll think about it.
We were talking about the difference in our childhoods, and he asked, like, why were things so bleak and scary and stuff in the 80s? And I said, look, I grew up in the Reagan era, you grew up in the Clinton era. Things were very different.
It wasn't just that. It was weird how the 80s was all like, we're going to get dark and depressed and as far as we can go, and really creepy when we don't have to be. And then the 90s was like, extreme!
Extreme Doritos!
Extreme, dude! Like, it's just... Everything had to be bright and poppy and fucking...
Pepsi Max. Maximum cola taste and no sugar.
Did it. Dug it. Savored it. Relished it.
Live life to the max. New Pepsi Max.
Like I said, Reagan era, Clinton era.
Well, yeah, Clinton was supposed to be the cool president.
Yeah.
So.
Things were different. So this movie takes place in 1990 and stars Jonathan Brandis, who played Bill in the 1990 or 1991 version of It, with Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah.
He was very good, and he was good in this too. The rest of the movie...
Felt a little bit like it was written for a younger kid.
Yeah, okay, we open with Bastian in the kitchen by himself, and he's reading some kind of fantasy novel, because he's a nerd. And he's got this big, sloppy, gross sandwich impaled on a child's toy sword, and he's holding up
No,
like fucking...
It was a straight up knife.
It's like fucking Finn from Adventure Time.
It was a fucking carving knife.
Like a big okay. He had it on a big, like in a cartoon, like Finn from Adventure Time holding this knife up in the air.
Like he would spread butter with that thing.
Yes. Holding it up and reading about saving the princess or something. And it's gross. It's got like mayonnaise slopped all over this.
Out.
Yes, like a piece of juicy tomato with the seeds coming out and this mayonnaise is just glorped on it. And that falls apart. His dad's off. He's coming home from work.
Oh,
so.
and he just everything that he does to clean it just gets worse and worse. And he's like clumsy.
It's this stupid slapsticky thing. But they don't really take his clumsiness into the rest of the movie. It's just this opening.
I thought I had an interesting idea before the movie even got going. I just saw that he was a klutz, and then later, very soon after that, we realized he's also kind of a pansy. And I was like, oh, this would have been interesting if anyone had ever made a movie where maybe it's a kid, doesn't have to be, I guess. Kid learns a lesson into the movie, and then sequel, we have to overcorrect back in the correct direction because you went way too far. Like, oh, this kid learned he needed to hold on to his imagination because his mom died. And don't just go, facts are facts. And then he turns into a complete wimp, pansy ass. And then the book speaks to him again to, teach him to not do that. Yeah. Sack up, boy!
I wish, if only it told him to sack up. So it's this ridiculous slapsticky thing where he knocks the cereal over, he knocks the milk over. It's ridiculous. And so his dad comes home, and it's not the austere kind of European type of dad that he had in the first movie, which probably had all German actors and it was just dubbed over in English. It's this dopey American dad who's just like, oh, Baskin
Robbins, how dare you?
You rascal. And be like, you clean this shit up. I'm going to take all your books away.
Yeah, he was weird, and he kept walking through the freaking cereal. Like, Dad walks in, takes 3 steps through the cereal, like, huh. Wasn't that strange?
Maybe this is a normal thing, and Bastion just spills food everywhere.
He looks at him like a dog. He talks to him like a dog.
He does.
It's so weird. And then Bastion's like, "What? Where are you going, Dad? You trying to get what?"
Okay, explain that. Because I have another theory about his dad going out at night.
So, the next scene, his dad's going out, and he's all dressed up, and he's talking to his son, like he's trying to sneak away from his wife. But
his wife is dead.
Honey, I have a late business meeting at the office. Why am I dressed like this? With this tie? Well, it's just because I want to look presentable. I'm trying to become partner. And his kid the whole time is just like, so what's up with your suit, Dad? Is that lady gonna drop you off again?
You know what I think, really? It wasn't probably so much as a date as he was, going to some sad hotel to getting suckered into, an Amway meeting.
Amway?
Scamway. It's a big multi-level marketing company.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not where I thought you were
going.
Yeah,
I think his dad went out to, the airport Hilton because he learned about some get-rich-quick scheme.
I thought you were
and then, boom, he's in Amway.
I thought you were going to say he was, going out to find a prostitute or something.
No! He's going out... That would be better. Honestly, that would be a better use of your money if you went out and you got a prostitute than if you joined Amway.
Maybe he was going out to be a prostitute.
Oh, okay. Can we move on?
No.
Oh, okay. This is taking a dark turn.
Since this is the mood we're in, I just want to point out I'm wearing a Patty's t-shirt as in the gang from Always Sunny, and I think it would be hilarious to see them in Neverending Story, in Fantasia.
It would be destroyed in 5 minutes.
Frank would just run through all his wishes so fast, him and Charlie. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Okay, so we get to the point where he finds the book, and here's how it happens. So he's trying to make the swim team. And
by diving.
Yes, and it's not even diving. This is such a little kid thing. It's everybody finishes their laps and stuff, and then the coach says, well, now the final test. Jump off the high diving board. Now, granted, that diving board is really freaking high.
Yeah, it's
really high.
Especially for a kid.
Yeah, and it looks like the ladder is really close to the diving board itself, and we're just thinking, like, what if your feet are going to be slippery and wet? Like, one
It
slip
looks
and you're
like a
down on the
painful
concrete.
ladder, too.
It does.
It looked like just straight metal. Like, your feet are slippery and bare.
And so it's very dangerous. Now, I told AJ, when I was a swimmer my entire life, my dad had me in the water when I was a baby, and in our little town out in Snyder, the college had this amazing Olympic-sized pool, and it had diving boards and stuff. My dad used to teach swimming and diving and stuff out there, and when I turned 4, I decided, I'm 4. It's time I jumped off the high board. So I did. I didn't dive off, but I walked my little 4-year-old self up and went, phew, just plummeted into the water. So he doesn't even have to dive into the water. He just has to jump off the high board. And he doesn't, so he doesn't make the swim team.
I have
questions about this coach.
He says I have a cramp, and his coach is a dork. He's like, high level of wimp bastion.
I wish he'd said what? You have
something like that.
You have your period or something?
It sounded like a D&D quote or something, like, you rolled high on wimp. Like, but bro, you have to know about that.
I was about to say, if
you have to know enough about it to be talking shit to somebody else using it. So
you're a middle school swim coach, so shut the fuck up. Anyway, so he's distraught about that. He feels bad about it, and so he goes to the bookshop to see if he can find a book on courage. And who do we find but Mr. Coriander?
With a K this time.
Guy. Yeah, it's the same. I don't think I wrote down his name, Tom Hill or something like that. But this is the only actor who's in the second movie. And he's this kind of grouchy but kind of mischievous, cranky old man who runs the bookshop and smokes his pipe all over the bookshop. And he sort of let Bastian take the Neverending story the first time around. And then...
He's a confusing man.
Yeah, he has his back turned, and then the book starts talking. You hear the childlike empress say, Bastian, we need your help. Bastian, come to Fantasia.
Sounds like you wouldn't know about this, but it sounds like the bitch-ass little fairy in Legend of Zelda that would, like, follow you around.
I totally know the Legend of Zelda.
Do you know about the fairy?
It gave you all your hearts back.
Well, later on in the later games...
Okay, I know the 8-bit Nintendo game.
It has, like, a voice.
Oh.
And, like...
Hello, hey, listen!
Like, that's pretty much all it does. But yeah, it's just like that. Exactly.
So yeah, the book talks to him, and so when Mr. Coriander has his back turned, Bastian takes the book. Now, he did ask him if he could take it, and he was like, well, sometimes when you read a book the second time around, it changes.
Oh yeah, he told him not to take it.
He told him not to take it.
Leave it. And then as soon as he runs out with it, he just smiles wickedly.
Like that's what he wanted the whole time. Now, I do kind of like that point that your experience of a story could be different the second time you read it. Like, I've read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King that AJ got me into. And the first time I read it was just exhausting because I was trying to keep up with everything that's going on. You know, who's this? When's this going to happen? Who died? How does this work? All this stuff. And so it was exhausting reading it the first time around. I really liked it. I liked it so much I got a tattoo that says there are other worlds than these. And with a rose and a key on my arm. Yeah, I call people a dork, but I have a Stephen King tattoo. So who's the real dork here? But I just reread the series, and I was able to just relax into it. And I didn't feel just the urgency to keep up with everything. And... because I knew everything that was coming, and then there were little things I'd forgotten that I was able to enjoy again, and it was different. So I do kind of like the point that he was making, that your experience with a story is different the second time around, but he kind of said it as a warning. So I guess this is what they do in movies. This is so infuriating. Bastian opens it to, like, the middle of the book, where later on his dad gets the book and starts it right at the beginning, but it's later on in the story.
It's like before the glossary.
Yeah, so this is a thing in movies where it shows somebody reading a book and they open it to like the middle of the book and they start reading the beginning of the story.
Yeah, it's weird.
Not consistent.
Movies, you dumb. You just stupid. It's not even this movie. Every animated show ever. I guess I can almost understand with animated stuff because it gives like... that way there's texture on both sides of what they're drawing. Mm-hmm. But it's still stupid.
It really is.
Anyway. But
Looking at the tattoo I have of a book on my arm, and it is open to the middle. So I'm contradicting myself this whole time.
So he runs home, and his window is open again. Because this kid is just... He's a magnet for open windows the way Kyo is a magnet for cats. Which is a really sucky thing to turn into. Like every time a girl hugs him, he turns into a open window.
Yeah, like this kid does not know how to latch a window.
But then, okay, so then he gets sucked into the book. It's not like the first time. The first time he was like, he wasn't in the story until the very end, and that it kind of wraps up really quick. Like, there, you can create your own world. But in this, it's still just the way the world is when he gets in there, which is confusing. Yeah, and he takes
the Orin, the medallion thing that's on the front of the book. It's the Ouroboros, right? The snakes eating each other. And you have the tattoo of that. This show is ending up being all about our tattoos. Show the nice people your tattoo.
It's over on this side.
I couldn't remember which side it was. Yeah. So
how dare you? You can't even see it. Haha. But it's there.
All the way around.
You can see that part, but it's not.
But so he touches the medallion, and I guess that pulls him into the book, and then he's wearing it around his neck. And it's magical. And they touched on the Orin in the beginning, in the first movie, that it kind of helped Atreyu, but really not that much.
Yeah, it was more like this will give you a spirit and love and...
Yeah, so in this one, and now we meet our villain, Zaida. She was a wicked sorceress, and she's
Tim Burton light. Like, she's trying to be Tim
Curry?
Burton. Yeah, Tim Curry. I'm sorry, Tim Curry light.
She's a very beautiful woman in like a 1980s hot woman video type of way, and she wears this big fancy dress and her eyebrow game, and she's like eye-fucking everybody when she's talking. Yeah.
In ways that don't make sense. Like, she will be listening to someone talk and...
Oh, that hurt my eyes. I opened them too wide. Yeah.
And it's like weird. I don't like the rest of her face is so placid. It doesn't match her eccentric eye movement where you would be like almost mocking the person in front of you with your face. But she's just...
She looks like Tim Curry as Dr. Frankenfurter when he's, given good eyebrow game in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
But it works when he does it. When she does it, it's weird.
Although, I really want to see a version where it's just Tim Curry. Same character.
The same dress and everything?
Just
yes.
Go for it, Tim. He randomly
and
starts...
And he should get a sexy song.
Yeah, he starts singing a song that's not even written into the...
and everybody's just like, is he singing? I'm like, just let him do it. Just let him do it. So she has... We don't have the nothing this time. We have the emptiness. I don't know if this... Was this still part of the book?
No, I guess. It's weird, like, So there's this whole thing about how every time he makes a wish, he loses a memory. And that was in the book, but it was more like it's his sacrifice to recreate the world. And, like, okay, side tangent. In the book, like, the whatever this, Zaida, she is literally convincing him to make wishes more and more so that it's easier for her to control him so she can rule a whole country without being the face of the country. But...
So she's like the Mitch McConnell of Fantasia.
Which I guess is the same thing in this, but they don't really explain it very well.
Not very well. Okay, so...
We just get that, he'll forget things, but why does it matter?
Yeah, and Bastian is brought in as supposedly the savior of Fantasia because the emptiness is happening, and also somehow the... childlike empress who has really stupid looking hair now. So she's holding the childlike empress prisoner, and only Bastian can name the thing that's destroying Fantasia. And he always has to name things. He had to name the empress in the first movie, and now he has to name this thing that we come to find out is the emptiness in Fantasia. So...
Yeah, okay,
and so she's got this machine, and so the Orin can grant wishes, but whenever he makes a wish, he loses a memory. And they've got this thing that has these little balls that come down, just like in the movie Inside Out.
Which I'm assuming that's where they get this.
Maybe Inside Out took it
similar.
from. Maybe Inside Out took it from here. So that's kind of a cool thing. She has this henchman named Nimbly who's a very annoying bird.
Oh my god. Like, I appreciate whoever was in that suit. And, okay, the costumes and stuff are still fairly good. Because it's, like, it's 80s. It's the time of, like, Jim Henson. Before he died and took all his secrets with him. But it's not, they're not quite as good as the original one. So there's this bird with these creepy-ass human eyes just stuck in the middle of this bird head.
Yeah, his human eyes are very
And
unsettling.
he sounds like this the whole movie because he's a bird and he's sort of crazy.
Yeah, but he's always, you see this in children's movies a lot. There's always that one henchman who kind of has a heart of gold underneath, and usually they do something at the end heroic to...
Sometimes they tell the audience what's going on.
Yeah, there's this one part about 30 minutes in
That's
where...
his memory.
Well, yeah, I'll get back to that in a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell it now.
Fucker.
So, because you brought it up. So there's a point where he makes a wish, and Nimbly looks over his shoulder, breaks the fourth wall, looks at the audience dead in the eye and says... He made a wish, so he lost a memory. I'm like, fucker, we're 30 minutes into the movie. We know this. So Nimbly flies in onto this boat. That's how Bastian first enters Fantasia. And immediately he's like, why don't you make a wish? And Bastian's like, I don't know. Bastian turns stupid later in the movie.
Because, okay, so he's literally on an acid trip.
Yes, explain. I need to drink more wine.
He's in this 2-seat boat. This giant bird flies at him, and he doesn't like, what the fuck are you? He's cool with it. And then Nimbly is basically like, you can wish for anything. Maybe you should wish for us to be in water instead of acid. He's like, acid? And he just throws a feather in there and it fucking explodes or whatever, it burns. Which, that's aggressive, but...
Very.
But it makes it an acid trip.
So he's on an acid trip.
Perfect.
And then it brings them to the Silver City, and I just started laughing when I saw the people. It looks like a stage production, not a good one. So there are people in these masks and these costumes, and we're like, what in the Eyes Wide Shut is going on here?
We both thought of Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, so they're all these colorful costumes, and they're just swaying back and forth. It's not like in the Emerald City where they're all kind of singing the song and they're going about their day. These people are just swaying, and...
It's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut at a pride parade. It's
very colorful.
Same concept, but way more color. Like
Lots
a bunch
of
of
color.
pastels and such.
Yeah, so he's just walking around the Silver City and he's like, wow, this is badass, this is cool.
Until the giants appear. They just call them giants, but they're like vase people made to look like...
They look like piranhas with their faces smashed in.
Like they got pincers and shit, and also these weird rotate flippy things. Like flapping wrists that cut people.
Kind of a mecha looking thing.
It's weird. It's
and so
very
they
strange.
chase him, and at some point, I think Bastian goes on his quest, and he makes a wish to have a dragon.
Oh yeah, this is how he's gonna defeat them because... Oh wait, no. So we get through that.
So
they fall in acid. He climbs a rope to get away instead of committing to the...
And Nimbly's just like, make a wish! You should make a wish! Wish them away!
He's super into like, no, I don't want to screw up the environment with the acid. I'm sure it's here for a reason. Things like that, which I kind of appreciated,
yeah,
actually. Like, that's actually kind of smart for a dumbass kid. And then they start like, oh, well, maybe we'll send you back with Atreyu, and they call up Atreyu, and he rides Atriox or whatever through...
Artax, who did not drown in mud after all, like in the first one. He comes back.
God.
So,
in the book he could talk.
Oh.
So guess how much worse that scene would have been.
Oh, no. He was like, please, Atreyu, save me. Or was he too depressed?
He was like, what's the point?
Oh.
I lost my tail.
So it's not the same kid, of course. And he comes in, and I'm sorry, his costume looks like some Party City Native American costume that, at Halloween every year people send out the things on Facebook like, Native American costumes are really offensive because we have Native Americans and, it's cheapening their culture, blah, blah, blah. And he looks like he's in one of those Party City Native American costumes.
Okay, one, in the book, he's not even a Native American. He just has a Native American-ish culture to him. He's like green. With blue hair.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a Native American in a fantasy land.
Also, that kid didn't really look like a Native American.
I mean, were they really looking for representation in 1990?
No, I mean, okay, Atreyu was kind of a dark white kid in the first one. Although, he looked like he was like they searched far and wide for that kid. Like he was a stunning person.
Interesting looking kid.
Like, you know how is it Tilda Swinton who's always like the androgynous queen of whatever?
Yes.
He's kind of like that.
Yeah. Not the kid in the
not
second
the new
one.
one. He just looks like a Hispanic kid that they found. Like you.
And they stuck a shitty, cheap headband on. So Atreyu shows up, and so Bastion.
That's when he starts wishing.
Bastion gets into like, oh yeah, let's go tear shit up and save Fantasia. So he wishes for a big dragon, and he calls it something stupid like Snurg. Schmarg. Not Smog from
Not
The Hobbit.
Smog.
Not Smog.
It's
but
green
Schmarg.
and it doesn't move. It you know what it reminds me of? The crocodile from the old Jungle Book movie. That just opens its mouth.
Opens its mouth, and it
that's
kind of it's smoking and it's blowing fire, and everybody's like, "What the fuck did you just do?" So the dragon flies off, and he's like, "Oh, I wish I had something to chase." Or he doesn't wish, but he said, "If only I could chase it." And then we hear this.
Did somebody say chase?
And it's Falkor with some bass in his voice.
Like they turned him down low, and he's not got.
Like he went from this down to this.
He no longer has the fun weird Jake-ness of it.
We're skeletons. We've got to be really, really quiet.
Get him!
Jake!
I thought it would be funny!
He's just...
By that you mean Jake the dog from
Yes, Jake
Adventure
the dog
Time.
from Adventure Time. Jake must have been inspired from Falkor in the first one.
Like he smoked too much weed because Falkor is too chill
He's got
in this version.
red eyes from all the bud.
Yeah.
And
he just lays there.
He's just... I don't know. He seems dumber.
Because he smoked all that weed.
He seemed like a wise pothead in the first one. Like, he was super chill about shit.
Like, he was Cheech Marin in the first one, and now he's Tommy Chong.
I guess. And he doesn't look good. Like, it looks like time is wearing on him.
Yeah, time hasn't been good to Falkor.
He's a full-on dog now.
But anyway, Falkor's all about chasing this dragon. So Bastion gets on him, and they chase the dragon to... Zaida's castle, which has lasers shooting out of it. It looks like a hand.
It's just this.
And it has lasers, and you see the dragon kind of go around the corner and then... Boom.
Yeah, it just gets sliced by this.
So they kind of trick the dragon, and they're like, oh, okay, that's done. And this movie is just one of these things, I feel like, okay, you know when a little kid asks you to tell them a story and you're not ready for it? Like,
what happened?
My niece is a baby, so she's too little right now, but there's gonna come that time when I'm just like, oh, please go to sleep. And she's like, Aunt Melanie, tell me a story. And I've probably been like 3 glasses in at this point, and I'll make up something. And whatever I make up is still going to be better than this movie, which, like, seriously, it meanders everywhere. Never-ending story,
it feels
no joke.
like nothing happens.
Like, nothing happens for an hour and a half.
It's just, so they killed the dragon, and they're like, okay, we're at the thing. Let's find the person in the thing and make them give us our childlike empress.
In the castle, because they're like, this person must be responsible for the shit going down.
Who, by the way, has a name. It's apparently Moonchild. I couldn't even hear that's what that kid screamed.
I thought he named her Rosario for some reason. That's what it looked like he said in the first movie.
Apparently it was Moonchild. But anyway, so Moonchild is often, yeah. So... This is where Bastion starts to get stupid. First, they make a plan, and Atreyu... I'm getting all the A names mixed up. Atreyu goes and is like, I found the clan to come and fight with us, or whatever. And he just has a sack filled with something. It looks like he cut up a bunch of heads. I thought it was going to be a bunch of heads.
When does he see Rockbiter and the creepy baby? Was this before they got into Zaida's castle?
I think that had already happened, and it was so random and stupid, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm making that noise and I'm trying not to do that because the microphone picks it up. So, he sees his Rockbiter, who was a character in the first movie, who chews with his mouth open like a motherfucker. And he has a creepy baby now.
This baby is ridiculous.
It's creepy.
It looks like the inspiration for the dinosaur baby.
The mama, that one?
Is that what that was?
In the show,
Dinosaurs? It always said that.
Not the mama.
Yeah. It looked like that, but like a rock.
Baby.
And it brings its dad a fucking rock, and he bites it, and it is the equivalent of if your kid gave you something like a cracker, and you bit into it, and you didn't like it, and you You spit it all straight back into your kid's face.
Yeah, so Rockbiter bites a rock, and all this dust and debris falls down, and the baby's like, meh!
He's just
It
like,
gets in gets in his eyes, so...
He's like, it's hollow, it's no good. Bro, all the food everyone in America eats has no nutrition at all, and we get by just fine.
And somehow we're still here.
I don't know what you're complaining about. Apparently this Rockbiter is pretty frou-frou. Like, he has very high standards for his
He has
he needs
acquired
quartz. You can't just have rocks.
taste. So
anyway, yeah, we have
talk. I need to drink
we have
more
seen
wine.
the Rockbiter again, and he's dumber, just like everybody else. He had that really cool, like, speech.
These hands were so strong.
Strong
He couldn't
hands.
save his friends, and now he's like, my baby's driving me fucking nuts.
and it doesn't. There's no mother rock, so I'm thinking he laid a mountain.
We're like, yeah, where'd this baby come from?
Like,
and it looks like a human baby. It's weird.
like a traveler's just meandering through the wilderness, and they look over, and there's this giant rock fire just going at this mountain.
And that's where the baby came from. Ew.
And then, you know, a cave, like 9 months later, a cave just rips apart, and this baby comes out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so he's trying to get to
That's
Zaida's
already
castle.
happened, and they, like, decide to make a plan or something. The baby smacked Valcor in the nose, because he's a dick.
He's a baby, they do.
Yeah, they're dicks. And,
They kind of are.
and so they finally... Okay, so they decide we're going in. This is the plan. Oh, it's kind of crazy, but it just might work. So this is a stupid action movie from the 80s, too, because that always happened.
Yeah, they always say that.
But this is where Bastion starts to get stupid about his wishes.
Yeah.
Because Atreus, like, they take turns distracting more of these, like,
Giants.
giants.
They call them giants.
They're like pottery barn crabs. And
They do. They look like crab people with teeth.
yeah, they're freaky looking. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with them, but
I would throw up on them probably.
Ooh.
Just from how nasty they look.
they do look nasty.
Who said something to me recently? Somebody said something to me at work about how they scared somebody and they almost threw up on them.
Oh,
and I was
God.
like, why? Who the fuck throws up when they get scared?
Maybe
Like,
kids? I don't know.
Anyway, so he starts climbing up the side of the thing the side of, like, the outside of the building, and he runs out of things to climb on, so he's just like, I wish for a step, and another one, and another one. You hear DJ Khaled at the other end of the fucking the forest. Another one! Like, it echoes through the whole movie.
DJ Khaled, who should have been the voice of the cave in the live-action Disney
Yeah,
Aladdin.
and he should have been in here somewhere. Another one! 'Cause
Yeah, but-
he's literally every time... He doesn't think, open me a hole so I can get in. Give me enough steps that I can get in. Anything other than another one,
So he's
another
using
one,
up
another
his
one, another one.
wishes
I know
over and
that
over
he
again.
doesn't know that he's getting dumber with the wishes, but still, it's weird. So they're just dancing inside the castle because they're like, yeah, we got all these marbles that are his dreams or whatever.
His memories, and then this is where Nimbly starts to feel kind of bad because he'll see like a fight with his dad, and then later on he sees a memory of him visiting his mother in the hospital. So
Yeah, his
Nimbly-
dad comes off like a real dick.
His dad seems like a
Like-
nice guy. Oh, and meanwhile, let's talk about what his dad is doing in the Muggle world.
Do you realize how confusing that's gonna be?
What?
His dad seems like a real dick. His dad's a nice guy.
I don't think he's a dick. I think he's kind of a dick in the first
there
one.
was a thing. He wasn't flat out a dick. There was something in one of the memory.
He wouldn't take him to swim practice.
It's real
and
fun to
Bastion
listen
says,
to,
I
huh,
hate
guys? Me stumbling. I'm not talking about you.
you. Oh, okay.
Cool. Anyway, he's neglecting his son. I can't remember exactly what the thing was, but he's neglecting his kid, and that's what I mean by he's being a dick. Do you need to throw that at something?
I just need. I took a Kush ball out of the drawer because I need something to keep my hands busy.
Oh yeah, I'm pressing on.
AJ has
her
the
mouse
thing
pad.
that has the mouse pad thing for my wrist.
Anyway, so yeah, it's weird, and this is where he goes like, "That was a memory." over his shoulder, which
At the audience, dead in the eye.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I don't know if they thought that he was just like turning and soliloquying to himself, but with human eyes stuck in a beak, like stuck in a bird face, it looks very like I'm looking at the audience.
Yeah.
So they get inside, they like they caught Atreyu. Somehow they save Atreyu because the giants are so stupid. They're like, well, we'll just cut his chain off and let him drop into the lava.
Well, let's say where he was. They had a chain wrapped around his waist, and they were holding him over like this deep hole with lava in it or something. And so Bastian gets in and reaches over and pulls him over, and one of the giants is just like, I'm just going to cut this dude's chain. And so when he does that, Atreyu swings over, Bastian pulls him up, and somehow they wrap the chain around the giant, pull him into the lava.
That was actually kind of cool.
That was kind of cool.
Because for Ultimate Warrior, like, fucking the next Hercules or Beastmaster, Atreyu never does anything. Like,
He's not
he
much of
never
warrior
fights. He's like known as this
and
adventurer.
his big thing with the bags were these eggs that had these little toys, basically.
Which was very confusing. It seemed like all they did was like distract the guards.
I think that's all it was. And he had said this weird line that must be from the book. It was like, well, it's a good day to die.
Hard. It's a good day to die hard.
Good day to die hard.
I kept saying that during the movie every time they said that or referenced that.
Yeah, it seemed...
Bruce Willis dying hard is much better.
I guess it was from the book. It seems out of place in the movie. Like, you can tell sometimes if you watch a movie that's based on a book, and sometimes they use dialogue, and it just doesn't work. Like, you can tell it's from the book, and it just doesn't work. I can't think of a good example, but with that line, it sort of comes out of nowhere, and it doesn't, and he says it again, but it almost feels out of character for this movie, Party City Atreyu.
Although, okay, so as little as Atreyu actually adventures and fights, if you put these two kids together, I feel like you get Finn from Adventure Time. Because you got dumb, childlike Bastian just being all idiotic and stupid with his flying dog, his magic dog, and then you got adventuring, I'm gonna go fuck shit up at Atreyu, and you stick them together and you get Finn and Jake. So that's my headcanon of how they got those characters.
So maybe that's something good that's come from this. So
I suppose.
So
they kill a thing.
Yeah, they kill the thing.
And then they get down to where the Zaida. They find Zaida and they basically point a they don't have guns. I wish they just pulled out a 9 and started pointing them at her.
So anyway, he started blasting.
Yeah, I started blasting. See, Frank would have this over in a minute.
Yeah, just go shoot this bitch in the head.
Charlie would make all the wishes, and it doesn't matter because he can't remember anything anyway. And then Frank would just shoot all the like pottery shit and this bitch.
And Dennis would use the Dennis system on Zaida.
Oh yeah, Dennis.
And she'd be begging him to call her. And Dee, what about
Dee?
Dee?
Would fly them everywhere.
Because she's a bird.
Because she's a bird.
That's when Dee came in. Oh, hey Dee.
Nimbly would be in love with her.
Oh, ugh. And she would keep turning him down, but when no one's looking, she would do something with him.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Is this where he names the emptiness?
Not quite. First they hold her at arrow point, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing with the Empress, the childlike Empress? I hate that name. It's so weird. It's very creepy.
That's how they always refer to her, as the childlike Empress.
It's so creepy. It feels very pedo-y. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Anyway, and this is when she's given the Tim Curry. I keep wanting to say Tim Burton. Maybe it's because it's so dark. So dark I almost couldn't see. Anyway, sorry. Dad joke.
You're leaning off frame. Come this way.
I don't care. I'll be out. So anyway. No. I want to speak what's happening from outside of the frame.
Anyway.
I'm in Fantasia now.
Tell what's happening.
I did, yeah, so they hold her at arrow point, and she's like, I'll take you to the childlike Empress, and we'll figure this out together.
Yeah, and Bastian's so stupid, he falls for it, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll totally get a ride with you.
He, like, I don't know if he even understands what his brain is doing. It's like...
Maybe it's because he's losing memories and he's forgetting his quest. And
if he was a little older, I would get it. I'm like, okay, he's kind of he's getting a little like, oh, well, I'm a very important person here in Fantasia. Maybe between you and me, we can fix your PR, like that. I can wish all sorts of things.
You and me, baby, just me and my wishes.
Yeah, but he's like 10.
No,
so
he's like 12.
The kid might have been 12, but he's written like he's 10. So
a moron.
He's just stupid now. It's not like he's trying to get some. He's just an idiot.
He's a kid. Ew,
either way, if he was 14, he would still be trying.
Yeah, he'd be trying to impress her. So he rides with her in her carriage, and they're going in circles, and Atreyu and Falcor are following. I don't know, Falcor just lays there every time they have him on screen, and Atreyu knows what's up. He's like, this is bullshit. She's taking us in circles. And Bastion will come out every once in a while. I was like, no, she's our prisoner. I've totally got this under control. And he's so stupid.
And she's just got him, like, wishing this and wishing that.
What about, remember the invisibility belt?
Yeah, so she shows him
that was unsettling.
She shows him this invisibility belt, which has an eye in it, which is creepy. It's like a Jeepers thing. Like Jeepers Creepers.
Yes.
He always had like a tooth stuck in the middle of one of his weapons or something. It's Jeepers Creepers-y. It has an eyeball. It like winks.
He puts his belt on.
He flips the switch,
yeah.
and he's so stupid. I can't see my body. He has a hairy moment.
My body's gone.
My body's gone. He has a hairy moment, but he doesn't think like, oh, I'll grab it and I'll flip the switch. She's like, oh, well, wish it off of you. And
just to get him to use more wishes and lose more memories.
I thought that so we pause all the time and I'm talking, and I had this thought that what if she had he lost the memory that he had put it on, and then she could just like spam him through this by going like, oh, look at this invisibility belt. And you're like, oh my god, my body's gone. I can't figure out how to turn it off. And she'd just be like, well, wish it gone. And he'd keep doing it over and over and over again. Until she just is tired of the shit.
And all his memories are gone.
And I thought they did it. I thought they actually did it, but I'm stupid.
No, you're not. You're smarter than the movie.
But I'm an idiot. Like, okay, I had a better idea that sidetracked me so much I didn't understand when he put the belt on. So she's like, hey, go outside and check out what's going on. And he puts the belt back on. He goes out, and they show, like, indentions of his feet. But I thought it was, like, something following them in the woods. Because when they showed him putting it back on, I was like, oh, they're doing the thing. He's, like, forgetting and doing it and forgetting and doing it. But it wasn't. He went outside, and he was, like, listening to them. And Atreyu, I hate their names. Atreyu decides, like, oh, we need to tell him how it is. We're gonna get him away from her.
He's gonna take the Orin,
I'm gonna take the
medallion
Orin
from him.
Which this is some stuff that sort of happens in the book, and then okay, so what's his name? Barristan, Bastion Balthazar Books. Anyway, so he decides, I'll just murder you.
Yeah, he pushes Atreyu off something that doesn't seem
off a very short cliff.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that high, and then Falcor takes his... He's like at the end of Game of Thrones where the dragon's just like, I'm gonna scoop Daenerys up and fly away.
Yeah, Falcor. All these names. He just picks him up and...
Yes!
Doesn't say shit to Bastion.
Okay. We got sidetracked talking about Bastion's dad, because you said he was an asshole and I said he was nice, and then you went off on something else. Let's talk about what Bastion's dad was doing back in the Muggle world.
Oh, before we do this, which is very important, what if, like, look, we don't know Falcor that well. What if he thought that Atreyu died and he ate him? Like... Sorry, guy.
He was hungry.
I'm hungry. I smoked a lot of bud.
He just spits out that stupid headband that he's wearing.
Like, if later on
Bastion shows up, like,
Bastion runs up, Atreyu, and he's just like,
spits out his Party City headband.
He's like, you ate him? And be like, well, you killed him.
Yeah, okay, so
Anyway,
talk
so-
about what's happening with Bastian's dad.
Sebastian's dad is doing what we thought he would have done in the first movie when he was just chilling at school overnight. He freaks out. He's like, where's my son? Well, he's actually way too chill when he knocks on the door and his son's not home. But eventually he's like looking at the book. He's like, this is creepy. And oh, here's the address. So he's like, okay, my son's not here. Here's an address to a book I've never seen before. I'll go to the store. He goes to the store.
The bookstore.
The book owner is immediately creepy.
Yeah, he's very...
Well, things aren't always as they seem, are they? I didn't rape your child.
Like, is this what you would say to a parent with a missing child?
Like, he might as well have been like, I've never held anybody in a dungeon.
I don't have any kids chopped up in my basement right now. Like, if I had been that kid's parent and he'd said that to me, like, well, madam, maybe things can be found in a book. I'm like, you chop my kid's head off,
I would start
didn't you?
beating the fuck out of him. Just
And
immediately.
so, but does Bastian's dad do that? No. He goes home and he starts reading the book.
Well, he does speak to a cop.
He does speak to a cop, and then the bookstore is gone.
Like,
It's empty.
He's like, I don't understand. It was all here. There were books.
And the cop's like, no, we'll help you out at some point. Sorry about your missing kid. He's probably dead.
I don't know, pal. Doesn't look like there's no books in there.
So
I don't know why this is the cop I chose.
So Bastian goes home, and he opens...
Bastian goes home?
Not Bastian. Bastian's dad, Mr. Bucks, goes home.
Bastian number 2 goes home.
Yeah, Bastian Sr. goes home. Opens the book to, like, the front page. It's not even any of the content. It's probably, like, the title page and the copyright stuff on there. And he starts reading in the middle of the story.
Now, here's the thing.
Be consistent with where people read books and movies.
Here's the one thing that was correct. Or I should say, here's the idea I had that they actually sort of did. So, when we were watching it, I was like, oh, wait. So, Bastian's reading the book the second time, which means you get to just be in it, I guess, because he had already unlocked that perk through the first mission, the first movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like a video game. And then the dad's reading it for the first time, so I was like, oh, is he gonna get, like, the first time experience? Like, is he gonna learn about imagination and stuff? But it's sort of somewhere in between. Like, he's reading about his kid, but he does have eventually that moment where he, like, you know, the characters, his son, can hear him in the story.
Yeah, he starts to realize what's going on. So Bastian decides to go back to the Silver City. He's like right there. Well, okay. He sees the ivory tower where the Empress is being held captive or something, and she's not a very good ruler because she's sick in the first one, and the second one she can't get out. So
this is after he runs away.
Yeah, he runs away, and then Nimbly talks to him in kind of the desert area. And Nimbly kind of has this moment where he's like, well...
luckily doesn't fall through a cliff.
No, Artax
like,
doesn't
they
die
jump
this time.
over a cliff, and an electric hand, like, grabs him by the... It looks like it would really hurt you, like...
Yeah, Artax jumps over and it
neck.
pulls him down. And Nimbly kind of has, like, this moment where he's just like, you know, I spy on people and I live another day.
Come with me.
I got the part of a spy in this story, Mr. Bastian. And he who spies and flies away lives to spy another day.
He's Varus!
He is. He's the spider.
He's a really annoying Varus.
Yeah, and so Nimbly kind of feels bad for him, but he's also like, well, you know, it's my job and I don't get killed for it, so see ya.
Well, player's gonna play.
Basically, he's like, yeah, don't hate the game, hate the player. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
So yeah, he gives him some very confusing directions. He's like, go down that trail and keep the sun at your back for 3 hours and a half.
And so he walks directly into the setting sun.
And burns alive. That was the end of the movie.
No, he gets back to the Silver City, which is all in ruins for some reason, and Falcor's there with Atreyu's dead body.
I think it was kind of like, okay, only the book readers would know this, but like at the end of Lord of the Rings, it turns out that at some point Saruman had sent, or he didn't send, he went and like wrecked the Shire. Like they fucked it up.
Oh, like where all the hobbits lived and stuff?
Yeah, and then all the hobbits after the main hobbits come back, they shoot all of them full of arrows.
Ah.
Very grim.
Oh, God.
But I guess it's kind of like that. Like,
If I could stand reading those books, I would have found that out.
in the meantime, Zaida had sent, like, I guess people to just the hell with that city, just wreck that city, and then then he appears and it looks like shit. So
yeah, so I guess, and the whole thing about the emptiness is, whereas the nothing was destroying everything, the emptiness is just kind of like, you're there, but you're hollow and dead inside, which is how I felt for all of 2021.
Indeed. So this is the point where he like accepts that his wishes are being used, and he's like, I guess for some reason, like, I have 2 wishes left. I don't know how they knew, like, what finite wishes he has, but so he has 2 wishes left. So first he wishes Atreyu back, and Falcor's like, but that wish will be your mother. And he's like, but this is what my mother would want.
Yeah, so with each, they realize that if he loses his memories, he'll forget his parents. So I think with the first one, to wish Atreyu back, he forgets his mother, because they're like, oh, your mother would be proud. He's like, who the fuck are you talking about?
And then Zaida. I hate these names. I don't like fantasy names because they always sound dumb.
Daenerys, Viserys, Aerys, Aegon, Aemon.
At least those sort of have, like, a cadence to them I can follow. Anyway, so Zeta, whatever.
Zaida.
I don't care. Xenomorph shows up. And she has changed by now. She changed earlier in the movie. Her first dress was okay. Like, it was a little bit, like, 80s businesswoman, big shoulders, and, but it was stylish. It was okay. I could see Tim Curry wearing it. It's alright. And then she changes into this outfit that looks like the dumbest, shittiest version of the Statue of Liberty.
She looks like a character from the Oz books. Like, if you look at the original illustrations from L. Frank Baum's books, she looks like a Winky.
It's almost
like a big triangular hat.
It's kind of like if the Statue of Liberty was a Power Ranger and it had that wide ass shoulder pad thing. But anyway, so she's sitting there looking stupid and talking shit, and she's like, "Go ahead. Use your last wish. Do it."
So she tells Bastion he should just wish himself home and get himself out of this mess.
Pretty much. And he's like, well, you know what?
I wish for you to have a heart.
And that seems to work.
Her heart was filled with a grenade. Because she blew up.
Yes, because suddenly I guess she realizes the horror of what she's done, and there's a tear coming down, and she blows up, as do all the giants that she's brought.
It's actually kind of clever, but also, like, I wish it was just worded a little different. Like, it's so...
I kind of liked it.
It's so specific to be like, I wish you had a heart. Like, what if it just didn't work? Like, if she literally has a physical heart?
Oh, is it like one of those monkey's paw wishes?
Yeah, like
well,
what,
she's got
what
a heart
if you
inside
had
her
to be
body.
specific? Like, maybe the wish doesn't, or the Orin doesn't understand metaphors and hyperbole, blah, blah, blah.
Hyperbole?
Yeah, hyperbolic. Doesn't understand that game. The hyperbole. Anyway.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's a little weird. But, yeah. So, but kind of clever. Like, sort of, like Voldemort. Where Harry was like, you should try having regret real hard right now, or you're gonna die. Except he didn't explode.
So, yeah, the emptiness goes away. All Zaida needed was to be filled, apparently. So, the Fantasia is saved. The childlike Empress is like, "Sup, Bastion? Thanks for saving me." So, the only way for Bastion to get home is to jump off this huge waterfall, which is kind of what he pictured in his head when he was at the high board at the school. And so it makes me think of the end of Ring 2, where she dives off the cliff.
And you hear...
the Wilhelm scream?
Yeah, the Wilhelm, I can't even think
so,
of it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, then his dad is sitting there on the... He's
like,
on his son's
"Go,
bed.
Bastion."
Like, he's on his son's bed. He forgot to turn the AC on because he is sweating bullets. Like, every scene we come back to him, he's just like, drenched in sweat.
Oh, his dad?
Like,
Yeah.
He's recently had a coke habit.
Maybe he
Like,
should have opened the window.
I guess so. But he's like, you can do it, Bastion. I believe in you. I'm your father. He doesn't have that accent, but I'm adding it.
Okay.
That's all.
So he comes back and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They have a hug. When Bastion comes back, he's outside in the rain, which is kind of
Yes, his dad hears a knock at the door, which kind of makes me think of like the end of Pet Sematary. When the guy's wife shows up.
I was thinking the end of the original Pet Sematary, the monkey's paw.
Yes. Oh, where there's a knock at the door.
Yeah. So, and that's it. We didn't get I wanted kind of a scene where he's like, fuck you, coach, and he does like a backflip or something.
Yeah, we don't get that.
But
that's the end of the movie.
Okay. Thanks for the original conflict that made him do this psycho thing.
Yeah.
So, so apparently the author really hated the first movie.
Really?
Yeah, he really didn't like it. I could see it more as like a disappointment sort of thing.
Yeah,
because basically, this is what happened. The first movie stops at the end, at the middle of the book, and it changes the ending to that thing where he's flying around his own town with Falcor, and he's fucking with other kids, like, we're gonna eat you, which maybe he did. But in the book, he wraps everything up, sort of. He gives the childlike empress the name, he enters the story or something like that, and then it continues, and this is where he has the wishes, and he has to be the one to like create Fantastica, not Fantasia, all over again, and that's where he starts get the memory loss thing, and he becomes like a dick ruler. He gets really arrogant.
This is in the book, right?
This is all in the book,
which I read, but I was a child.
Which actually sounds like way cooler as a.
It was a good book.
As a sequel. It seems like it could be a good movie. I wish that was the sequel, and that's where Zaida comes. I'm just gonna call her like, what? I'm trying to think of a snack that has a Z in it. I'm just gonna call her Zebra. So, Zebra tries to be the puppet master behind the scenes.
Actually, her name is spelled with an X.
What?
Like xylophone.
God. Okay, Xena. Xena is supposed to be, like, behind the scenes ruling. Like, he's dumb, but he's ruling now. He's Trump. And she's just, like, whispering it. Hey, little mama, let me whisper in your ear. And so she's sort of like a side antagonist. She's not like a main antagonist. And I don't remember how the end of the book happens, but he's terrible. He kills Bastion. Like, he stabs him. He kills himself. My bad. He kills Atreyu,
which he does in this movie.
But he actually like stabs him in the face or something in the book. I don't know. He cut his dick off. I don't know. Like, let him bleed out.
Oh, God.
Something aggressive, anyway. And then later, he sees the errors of his ways, and he wishes Atreyu back, and Atreyu's like, bro, you suck. Leave, and I'll take over. I'll fix all this. Okay? Give me the Warren. Fuck off. And that's it. Which I would find as a much more interesting sequel than what we got. This was... Ugh.
This was not good.
It didn't even have as many of those what the fuck moments that I had from the first one.
No.
The first one, every time I saw something on there, I was like, I jumped a little bit.
There was a guy that had 3 faces, but it wasn't as unsettling as the ones in the first movie.
No, because he wasn't doing it too much. He just did it like twice, where he rotated his heads. Mm-hmm. And they were all playing cards, which felt very Wizard of Oz. Not Wizard of Oz. Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
What if the Neverending Story, Alice in Wonderland, and the Wizard of Oz met in a bar?
Oh my God! I would need. Was that what?
And the bar was called Narnia.
Whoa! Is that what taking mushrooms is like?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, recommendations. Do we have recommendations for this?
Shit. I didn't even think about recommendations.
You know, okay, I'll say it. The Wizard of Oz would be a better one.
All the ones I listed are better.
The Wizard of Oz. The first Chronicles of Narnia movie is pretty decent, with Tilda Swinton as the Snow Queen.
Pretty good. I actually like the sequel too. I didn't watch the Dawn Voyager thing. Yeah.
The Dawn Treader. That's the one. That's the one. Where a little asshole boy turns into a dragon and he's crying as he's eating another dragon. Because, as C.S. Lewis said, it makes sense when you think about it.
Because they were Boris?
No. Oh, maybe. Well, there can only be one dragon. And so if a dragon dies, the other dragon has to eat the body.
God.
Okay, so Wizard of Oz, the Narnia movies, the Lord of the Rings movies. I hate those books, but the Lord of the Rings movies are better than this movie. The original Neverending Story. Basically, all the other fantasy movies are better than this one.
Lovecraft? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe just
something that
read
is
some cosmic horror.
almost as existential as The Nothing, or maybe more. Maybe that's what it is. So, okay, Neverending Story is the children's Lovecraft.
Oh.
Because it's sort of cosmic horror.
It kind of is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I can deal with that. So watch Event Horizon. There you go.
Yes, Event Horizon. Okay, that's our official recommendation for this atrocious movie. Poor Jonathan Brandis. He did a good
atrocious?
job. No, Atreyu-ish movie. Jonathan Brandis did a fine job with the work that he had, so everything else totally sucked. So watch Event Horizon. Your mind will be blown, and it's amazing and gross at the same time.
Yeah, it's very aggressive.
All right, how to follow us. We're on Twitch, Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, YouTube. We're on Instagram. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, or iTunes. So like, subscribe, share, tell us what movies you want to follow. Join our cult. Be my victim. Don't watch this movie.
Give me money. That's the cult way.
Okay.
And if you give me money, maybe God will give you money.